Yo, what's up, guys? I'm back. I know it's been 2 weeks and I said I'd be posting consistently, but honestly, I'm not disappointed in myself for not. I'll explain why in this video, what I've been up to in these past 2 weeks, and all the things I've learned. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that working harder is not always the right move. I mean, this has worked in my past, in high school, just work harder, grind through, you'll make it out. But in college, there's so many things you can do, right? Like, I want to go to the gym, I want to get jacked, of course, like, not there yet, but I want to build a dream physique, I want to be really smart, I want to have a startup, I want to do all these things, right? But you have to focus. Focus is a lot more important than just being made at a bunch of things, which is something, I'm really realizing now. I touched on this a bit in my other videos about how I'm struggling with the trade-offs between startups and, school, doing well in school, going to the gym, getting a good sleep schedule. There's so many things to consider, and I'm really learning that I need to start sacrificing some things. And I'll explain to you guys the thought process behind how I'm, dealing with this problem, what I'm prioritizing, how I'm deciding what to sacrifice. And kind of adjacent to that topic, something I really believe in is the kind of return on investment you get for your time. What I mean by this is inherently there are things that you do in your life that will bring you more value than other things. Let's just take, for example, that all you do is walk for 10 minutes a day. Now, that is much lower in value or in ROI for your dream physique goals if instead you went to the gym 5 times a week and did heavy weightlifting, tracked your diet, and did all that. However, that will also take time away from other things in your life. And the reason I bring that up is because how do you compare between different domains, like your intellectual domain, right? Say you have some sort of assignment. Just take, for example, an assignment that will make you a little bit smarter because it'll have you think stuff. And this stuff compounds. Like over time, if you did all your assignments, you like really thought about it, it was really hard stuff, you will become smarter and have better analytical and logical reasoning thinking skills, right? But going to the gym, doing all those things will cause you to sacrifice in other areas, right? You only have limited time and energy. However, that's when you have to decide, what do you want, right? Like, it's your life. And I'm really learning this, I'm kind of like speaking to my old self here when I'm saying this, and hopefully, someone finds some value in this. It's like, you have to decide what your goals and your priorities are and work towards things that will bring you closest to those goals. For me, as of now, one of my biggest goals is financial and time freedom. But I do not want to sacrifice my health, my mental health especially, my physical health, and I for sure don't want to come out of, like, sure, it'd be cool if I can reach my intellectual goals and my goals of being financially free, but if I'm at that point and I'm very unhappy with my body, my physique, I'm not in a good mental state, I think it would be pointless. And that's kind of one of the quotes I really like about Naval is the only test of intelligence is you get what you want out of life. I'm not sure if I quoted that directly, but that's an incredible quote, right? Because if you're not happy by the end of these 10 years with the things you did in those past 10 years, I mean, what really did you accomplish, right? Sure, you could be the best scientist in the world, best whatever in the world, but if you didn't get any joy, any happiness from the journey of getting there, even worse if you don't enjoy where you are at that point, it's like, what's the point? So I really try to think about these when making a decision. I'm like, okay, if I sacrifice going to the gym, would I be happy? No. Okay, well, how do I incorporate the gym in, and what else can I sacrifice? So that's kind of like the thought process I'm going through every day. And I try not to also overthink, because then now that's less time I have for the actual task, right? That's like kind of the mental thought process I go through when I'm trying to make decisions. New York was super fun. Here are all the companies I visited. Visited Clay, Tandem, Stripe, HOF Capital, Ramp, Allium, and Maximor. Being in those rooms in New York was super cool, especially talking directly to the founders. Like, we spoke directly to one of the founders of Tandem. I thought that was awesome, like, I got to see his thinking, what led him to get there. One of the key things I took away from him was he, similarly to kind of like how I think about ROI and growth, he's like, he saw a lot of his friends that were stuck at companies that just didn't have a high growth potential, and they stayed at it for 5 to 10 years, even though they knew, even the founders themselves knew that they didn't have like high growth curves, right? He's like, if I'm gonna commit this many years to building a company, why wouldn't I make the company something that I know for sure will continue to keep growing at a level that I'm satisfied with? And that stuck with me, because it's like, sometimes it's like, okay, cool, you've gotten this really good idea, you've built it out, you've poured so much time and effort into it, and you know deep down inside that it's not the best thing. Even though you've just invested so much into it, it's hard to walk away from that, but it's like sometimes it's necessary for you to grow even more, to find the actual opportunity that will bring you even more growth. Now there's a bit of a caveat to it, obviously, because if you continue to just keep pivoting, it's like, now what, right? But I think it was really interesting that he said that. Being at Stripe and Ramp was also sick. Their offices are awesome. You know, Stripe was like super high up, amazing view. You can also tell like, the level of people like in those rooms, the amount of technical expertise in those rooms is just like off the charts. I thought it was really cool. Also, they were having fun. Like you could see like they had smiles on their faces. I don't know if that was like they were told to do all that. Probably not, but like they seemed pretty chill. And with these company visits, one thing I realized, especially with our chat with HOF Capital, who got us some really good food. Spent a hell of money on that food, by the way, but it was really good. Super chill. We spoke to Alexandra, and one of the things she said was like, you know, feel free to reach out to me anytime. And I was like, a lot of the advice and the people I met from going to New York, a lot of it would be not meaningless, but obviously less valuable if I didn't take any action, right? I obviously want to be better with this. I want to be more intentional with the people I'm visiting, the people I'm talking to. Of course, not like in like a weird way, but more so like, okay, I visited Alex. It's a great connection to have. She was super chill, very, very energetic, very charismatic. You would tell she loved what she did. If I just never reached back to her again, sure, like it would have been a crazy change, but like maintaining relationships is also something that's very important. Something I'm trying to get better at, obviously. It's kind of hard to juggle when you have so many things going on, and there's a balance there as well, but I think that's something I also took away. It's like, how can you maintain / keep in touch with the people that you're meeting that are doing cool things, that are in the places you want to be at? It's like, you know, of course, don't overdo it, but find ways to maintain relationships. And real quick, one of the things I'm struggling with right now is credibility, because right now I have all this ambition. Sure, I have the hard work and the discipline, right? That's awesome, but I need something that will kind of give me that initial credibility, get my foot into the door of bigger rooms. And that's kind of the thing I'm focusing on, trying to figure out how to prioritize, especially for this summer, because I want to be in a high growth environment. I want to be surrounded by people who are way smarter than me, so that I can, you know, be a sponge, learn as much as I can, and really grow this summer. Especially since I feel like I'm a little bit late to the game, at least technically wise, and I really want to bridge that gap, if that makes sense, and just keep learning, keep my growth exponential, and not just slow down and, you know, stagnate. Take, for example, the New York trip. It was very valuable for me. You know, I got to learn more about different environments and different startups, and, you know, I kind of broadened my horizons, met new people. It was awesome, right? But it definitely took away from, you know, just doing schoolwork, catching up on school. I'm very behind on school, by the way. I'll figure that out, hopefully. But, you know, it took time away from that, right? And on top of that, I just had retreat for one of my clubs, and that also took time away, right? But it was really fun. I made memories that I would never have made otherwise if I just skipped that trip completely, right? So many decisions that you have to make, and especially in college, if you're involved in organizations, you know, there's a lot of events that you have for your club or whatever you're in. And it's hard to make a decision not to not go because you have other work, but sometimes it's necessary, especially if, you know, it will make you unhappy that you won't reach your goals. Like for me, sometimes it's like, I think about an event, I'm like, okay, this is a really fun event. If I go, will the fun I have be more worth than doing work? And if the answer is yes, then I will usually go. But if the answer is no, I will think about what I will do instead, and I'll commit to that. So for example, if I'm ever skipping some sort of party or event to do work, I will make sure that the work I'm doing will be good work and compound and actually bring me value. Because the worst case scenario is you skip the party and you do jack shit, because now you just feel horrible. And I try to avoid that at all costs. And one just quick tidbit I want to add is journaling. Even though you may think it's a waste of time or like corny or whatnot, it's genuinely been so helpful to me these past 2 to 3 years since I've started. I started around 2021, but I wasn't super consistent. But being able to read and go back to my thoughts from basically like 5 years before now, I guess, it's awesome to think how much I've changed as a person, my accomplishments. It helps you, like, you know, stay grounded and be like, oh wow, I've come a long way to where I am now. And I can see that I've gotten through hard times in the past, and I can get through harder times in the future. So it's just very helpful, and it helps you organize your thoughts, you know, keep you grounded. You understand what's important to you, and I honestly just really recommend it. Or at least if you don't want to journal, just spend more time thinking about what you really want for yourself. Just take time away from screens, media, just go in an empty room and just think about why you do the things you do every day. Like, what are you even doing, right? Just think about that, and that will naturally bring you to ask yourself these harder questions about, okay, maybe the things I'm doing right now are not gonna bring me to where I want to be. It won't make me happy, or I'm already unhappy where I'm at. And for me personally, it's been extremely helpful. And I also read, or at least try to listen to, audiobooks of founders and other successful people. And this is kind of a common trait among a lot of those people that had those traditional successes, I guess, was they thought about what they wanted out of life, and they chased that goal instead of chasing what other people's metrics were for a successful life. So I guess that's my little rant / advice for anyone who, it could help. So yeah, that about sums up all the things I learned in these past 2 weeks, and kind of where my head's at, what I'm thinking about, how I make decisions that are pretty hard, and my realization that just hard work or working harder alone is not going to be the difference maker. It's going to be prioritization and focus. And I really hope that the things that I said in this video helped you out. If they did, feel free, to ask me anything in the comments. I'll respond to everyone and any questions you have. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Really hope that helped, and keep building.